So today I want to talk about my iPad photography workflow. So this is from importing pictures to organizing pictures, editing pictures, sharing pictures, how I use it, and how the iPad plays a pretty major role in my photography work. Alright, so this is my desktop here for the iPad. So everything, when I'm using like my DSLR, everything starts with this lightning adapter to SD card reader here. So this is how I get the pictures from my camera onto my iPad. Now, the nice part was with iOS 13 or iPad OS 13 is you can now import your pictures directly into files or things like that, so you don't have to go through, before you have to go through like the camera roll and everything, you don't have to do that anymore, which is really nice. So all my pictures start in Lightroom. So now if I wanted to, let's say I wanted to add a picture from this camera roll into a folder or start a new, typically I would start like a new folder. Now I'm going to be using the Apple Pencil because apps like Lightroom here, they don't use, you can't scroll like this using the mouse or trackpad yet. It will get there, but they haven't updated their app to do that yet. So if I'm going to like start a new album, I would just hit this plus button up here. So we're gonna press the plus button up here, and we're gonna call it test album. And then just hit OK. So now it puts a new album down here at the bottom of this list. Now this is the way I have mine set up is I just break them down by year, and then I go from there. So this one is like family year 2020, and then all at the bottom because it's test album. But typically I like to put mine in by day. I was trying to do it like by month, and then each month have a different like folder for each month, and then have like the days broken out to album. I just put them all now in one year folder, and then whenever I'm importing picture, I use month and day combination. I've been doing that for a while. It works for me. I would suggest having some form of organization, because if you just throw everything in here, so if you go all the way up here and you just look at all photos, now I have 31,000 pictures synced in Lightroom or with Adobe CC or Adobe's cloud program. But if I just did that, then it would be a little overwhelming looking at all these pictures. So it's nice to have some form of organization. And then also I can just quickly look back and find pictures I'm looking for if I know generally when I took that picture. So we're gonna go to test album here, and now this album is empty obviously, so if I wanted to add something I can just go, use the mouse, go to this little plus button, and here you can see I can import from pictures from the camera roll, from files, which is pretty cool. So if you have pictures that you downloaded from online or something like that, you can use it this way, or from camera device, which we're going to use. And so these are the pictures from the other day. So let's say I want to add these pictures in from yesterday. Click on that, hit import, and now it's going to import these pictures into Lightroom. So now that they're all imported, you just hit the X here, exit back out, and now they're going to start populating within the test album that we added, or that I added. Really, this could be renamed because I didn't add these pictures into the 6th. So we're going to actually rename this album so it's a real album. Just click the three little buttons here, the button with three little dots, sorry, and then just hit rename, and we're going to name it 0406. So you can see I'm recording this on the 7th, importing pictures from yesterday, and now these are the pictures that I have. Now what's really cool when you're using like a keyboard, if you press the command button and hold it, it will let you see the shortcuts that you can use. So if you're in a picture like this, and you hit the command button and hold it for a second, these are all the commands that you, like shortcuts that you can use from the command button. So I like to flag my pictures, like, so I can put like P for a picked one. If you hit U, it makes it unflagged, and if you hit X, it's a rejected picture. So I like to go through and look at them. I'm not making any real edits with this right now. I like to just go through. I'm using the arrow keys on my using my bridge keyboard. Sorry. So I'm using the bridge keyboard, which you can do this without the keyboard. I like doing it with the keyboard because then I can just go through the pictures like this real quick using the arrow keys and hitting P or X, you know. It's muscle memory from when I work on a desktop with Lightroom. And I will say, all my pictures sync to my desktop. I have Lightroom CC Classic or Lightroom Classic on my PC here, and I have Lightroom CC over on the Mac that I have right over here. Personally, I like Lightroom Classic way better than Lightroom CC. I think Lightroom CC is obviously the future that Adobe's going with, but it sucks, to say the least. So, going through these pictures, looking at my Beagle here, let's see, I like this one. I like this one. I was trying to, like, being stuck in the house right now, I was trying to find, like, moody pictures. And I'm always trying to, like, just take pictures of these guys and, like, or my kids, like, just seeing what I'm doing, like, messing around. So, anyway, so let's say I want to edit this picture. Usually, you know, I will go through and look at the different, like profiles. So sometimes I'll come up here, and if you look at my favorites, you know, I personally like a really punchy color to my pictures, but I've been trying to experiment, and so I've been playing with some of these vintage looks that you can get. And so for this one, I actually like this look here. And if you long press on the picture, you can see the before and after. So this is the before, this is after. Looks like it pulled up the shadows, reduced some of the highlights, and then changed the saturation. So I like that. So this for me is a starting place for my pictures. Now I don't do this for every picture, obviously, but for this one, like just messing around, this is a starting position. Like I like to start here and then kind of edit from there. So I'll go through here, look at the light. They have different categories here on the right hand side. So I'll look at the light, and the highlights are blown on his face here. So I'll try to bring back some of these highlights, and that actually works. And I shoot in RAW, so I have a lot of latitude, especially on a full frame camera. This came from my Sony camera. You get a lot of latitude with the data that's recorded in your picture. So pull back the highlights, the shadows. I actually like how this is kind of falling off. So the light was coming from our big sliding glass door from over here. So I love how this is falling off over on this side. I will maybe open up those shadows just a little bit. I like to go all the way and then bring it back. This way you can see, like, oh, this is what it looks like all the way, and then you can bring it back a little bit, and so yeah, so you can see a big difference already. So that's where it started from here, and this is where it's at. Let me do this. I'm gonna crop it a little bit here. I like this. Is it done? And looking at these, I think the exposure is actually pretty good. Yeah, I actually like the exposure on that one. Now, if you hit I on the keyboard, it brings up the different overlays that you can have. I like having my histogram on here, so I'm going to hit View Options, Show Histogram. There you go. So I like seeing the histogram. This is the histogram here. Just this way I can just see where everything's at. It's really on the darker side, so I might bring up the exposure just a little bit here, and then bring the highlights down again just to make sure I'm not blowing out. I really want to make sure I'm not blowing out the highlights here on his face. That looks really good actually. Blacks are actually light. So here you can again use the slider to look at your black levels. So I like this here for the black levels. I think this looks fine. For the whites, I'm going to leave those alone. And for right now, I'm done in this panel. I'll go to the color panel. Now, I will say, you can do this in any order you want. There are some people who are very purist, and they're like, oh, you got to do it in certain orders of how... I used to kind of be like that, but now, edit however you want. Like, it's your picture. It doesn't matter how I edit. I don't care what you think how I edit my pictures. Like, I'm going to edit the pictures the way I edit my pictures. So I suggest you do the same thing. Edit your pictures however you want to edit them. So sometimes I like to look here and just see like what would auto look like. And it made it a little bit too cool, so I don't like that one. So if I go back to how it was shot, I will actually bring it up slightly. And I will say this is where having the Apple Pencil is actually easier to use than a mouse on here. So I can go in here. And again, I always like to reference the before and after. So that was before, this is after. I actually do like that. And then I probably will bring up the vibrance just a little bit. Again, I like to go all the way and then bring it down so I can see what it looks like. And I also do it reverse sometimes, but in this case, that's like way too vibrant. That doesn't look realistic. Really bring in a little bit of vibrance, and maybe again same thing with the saturation. Go all the way up and then bring it back down, because that doesn't look realistic. Well, that did, like, bringing it all the way over to 100% didn't look realistic, but this actually looks pretty good. And again, just touching the image, holding it, you can see the before and after. And yeah, this looks really good. Like, I'm actually really happy with this the way it is. You can do more. Like, obviously I could go in here and go to effects and have all these different options. Now, this isn't a tutorial on Lightroom by any means. I will leave links to people who've done much better tutorials than I can ever do. Just not my thing to do a tutorial on Lightroom. But you know, this, if I was looking at this picture, this is exactly how I would want to end it. Now, for me personally, this is, in most of my pictures stay on my iPad, but if I was gonna like post this to social media or something, the great part about Lightroom and the reason why I like it, yes, it does cost money. No, they do not know me. They're not sponsored. I pay monthly like $56 for the Adobe package. This is where I would pick up my phone and open up Lightroom on my phone, go to this picture because it syncs across, and then export it out. So I would go up here to, it's the same on your iPad as it is on your it's the same on the iPad as it is on the iPhone. You just go up to here to export, and then these are different ways I can export it. I can export it to the files, to the camera roll, or open it into a different application. I would pick just export the camera roll, and then once it's done rendering, you're good to go. So that's the way I edit pictures on my iPad and my workflow. Everything goes into Lightroom for me. Now, I do use VSCO and Snapseed on occasion if I need to clone out like any kind of imperfections in the picture. I would use Snapseed. VSCO I like to use because it has really nice vintage presets. So if I'm trying to get like an old camera look, like a film look, those presets look way better than anything I can get in Lightroom. I have used Photoshop. I do use Photoshop actually. I probably use Photoshop now a little bit more than Snapseed to do the cloning, because the Photoshop's cloning and healing is out of this world, especially with some of the newer updates. But yeah, it's nothing, crazy or, nuts or anything like that. It's pretty simple how I use Lightroom and edit pictures on my iPad. Let me know in the comments below, A, if you use your iPad to edit pictures, and B, what's your workflow? And if there's something I would love to learn from you, see if there's something that you're doing that I would like to pick up or steal. Thank you for watching this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you like it. Leave a comment. Hit subscribe. The whole routine. Thank you again, and I will see you in the next video. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.